Yes, good morning everyone. So in the last class, we discussed about the rules and regulations in derivative contract. So as per the syllabus, in the first unit, we discussed the introduction part of the derivative contract and various types in derivative contract like forward contract, future contract and option contract. So we understood the meaning of forward contract and the future contract. So the next part, once you understood the meaning and the concept of forward and future contract, the next concept is to understand the valuation of forward and future contract. So you know that in stock market or in investment, in the investment, the important aspect is analysis. So before going for any investment, we need to do analysis of our investment asset because we have to know whether we are purchasing at low price or we are purchasing at higher price. And for every asset, there will be basically there will be three price. One is book price. Book price is in investment we can call it as a face value of equity shares. At the time of introducing that shares, what is the price? That is called face value. It may be 2 rupees, 10 rupees normally. So other price is market price of the shares. So that particular price is decided by the forces of market such as demand and supply. Based on demand and supply, the market price will be decided. And third important price for investment asset is intrinsic value. Intrinsic value, fair value, or theoretical value, all are the same. So intrinsic value. So what do you mean by intrinsic value? Intrinsic value is nothing but it is a true value of the investment asset. So whenever you are going for analysis, we are trying to find out what is the true value of that investment. Whatever may be the market price, whatever may be the face value. So face value is just for concept. There is no much use. The face value will be used only when the company is declaring dividend. The dividend will be declared based on the face value. At that time only we use the concept of face value. The rest of the case we will use only the market price or the intrinsic value or the true value. So now, while discussing the valuation of forward and future price or valuation of any investment, we focus on two prices. One is market price, another one intrinsic value or fair value. So, what is the importance of intrinsic value and how we interpret the value of intrinsic during the investment decision? How we can interpret the value of intrinsic? See here, I can explain with the example. I hope screen is visible now. Yeah. So what is the importance of before understanding how to find out the intrinsic value of forward and future contract? First understand the importance of intrinsic value and how we can interpret the intrinsic value while deciding investment avenues. See here, consider example. There is a one stock called XYZ Limited. So XYZ Limited is there, and the market price which is quoted in the stock market is consider 150. So the market price of XYZ Limited in the stock market is 150. Now I am the investor. Mr. A is the investor. So before going for any investment decision, first he has to see whether this 150 is worth for investment. Whether that 150 is worth for investment. Because we have to we can go for either a fundamental analysis or we can go for technical analysis. You know the difference between fundamental analysis and technical analysis. See, fundamental analysis is basically on the fundamental of the company. Based on the fundamental of the company, its a profitable position, its assets, based on its financial position of the company and its business strategy. All those concept comes under fundamental. So based on fundamental, we value the shares. And other one is a technical analysis. Technical analysis is nothing but the purely depending on the technical indicators. So there are some technical indicators are there. So based on technical indicators, we can value the shares. But this concept valuation is comes under the fundamental analysis. So fundamental analysis basically based on company's profile, company's performance. So here, now I want to see whether this 150 is a true value, whether it is overpriced or whether it is undervalued in the market. So the market price, the quoted price in the stock market is 150. So I have to check whether it is worth to investment. What is the true value of XYZ Limited stocks in the stock market? So now I can go for fundamental analysis. So there are many what methods are there to find out true intrinsic value of stocks. So if I use any one method, based on that method, I found out that intrinsic value of that particular stock is 140. Okay, the intrinsic value of that stock is 150. So now how I can take a decision? See, the real value of that stock is 140, but in the market it is available for 150. So that means in the market, the stock price is overvalued. Correct? See, the real value is 140 based on, for example, I followed net asset method. The assets at the market value minus the outside liability and divided by number of shares. So I found out intrinsic value is 140, but market is quoting 150. So it is overvalued. So what decision I can take? Whether I have to purchase that shares or I have to take short position. I have to go for short selling. See, it is overvalued. So based on fundamental analysis, what fundamental analysis says, see the market price. So this is the, consider this is uh, capital market line. Consider this is the capital market line or security market line. Here, so if the intrinsic value is here, this point consider intrinsic value this one and market price here. Market price, this point is market price and this point is intrinsic value. So what fundamental analysis says, the market price of the individual stock always moves towards intrinsic value. I repeat, the market price of the underlying asset or investment stock always moves towards intrinsic value. So that means in the future, the market price of that underlying stock comes near to the intrinsic value. Consider this one 150 and this one is the 140. So current market price is 150, but its intrinsic value 140. So there will be a correction in the market in the future. So that makes the market price of that particular stock to the 140. So in the future it will decrease. So in the future it will decrease. So what position I have to take now? So in the future it will decrease. So what position I have to take? I have to take short position. Short selling, we call it as short selling. Means first you are selling the underlying asset, then you repurchase in the future days. So that means here what decision you can take. In this case 150 is the market price, intrinsic value is 140. So that means in the future the price of the stocks will goes to 1 decrease to 140. Not sure what it will. So it will decrease to 140. So now I have to sell the XYZ stock for 150. Sell at 150. Sell at 150. And in the future, when market price hit to 140, then repurchase. Repurchase it for, so buy at 140. So you can make profit of 10 rupee per share. So this is the fundamental behind the valuation of stocks or any asset. Why we should need intrinsic value. So we can compare with market price and we can see whether it is undervalued or overvalued. So if it is undervalued, then go for buying decision. If it is overvalued, then go for short position. Consider market price 150, but market price 150, 160. So intrinsic value is more than the market price. So in the future, the market price will go to 160. So now this stock is undervalued in the market. Real value is 160. The real value should be 160. But in the market, it is quoted 150. So in the future, the market price of XYZ Limited will reach to 160. So at that time, what I can do? Now purchase at buy at 150, current market price, buy at 150, and in the future sell at 160. Sell at 160. So you can make profit here also 10 rupee. So therefore we need intrinsic value. Now understand the concept of valuation of forward and future contracts. So valuation of forward and future contract. Yes. See here, why we discuss the forward and future contract together. You know the meaning of forward and future contract, which is similar. The only difference between a forward contract and future price is forward contract takes place, OTC means over the counter, but future contract will take place in the stock market. It is standardized. But other than that, everything, the procedure will be the same. The underlying asset and the predetermined price, the maturity period. So everything will be same. Therefore, the if any contract which has same underlying asset with the same predetermined price and with the same maturity will get same future price and forward price. So when the maturity period and underlying it asset is same, then the forward price and future price will be similar, which is close. So therefore, we follow same method to find out forward price also and to find out future price also. The formula will be same to find out future price and forward price. And here, as we discussed in derived contract, there are two types of derived contractor based on its the nature of underlying asset. Based on nature of underlying asset, there are two types of derived contract. One is a financial future contract or forward contract, and other one is commodity future contract. Financial contract and commodity contract. So we discussed what do you mean by financial futures and what do you mean by commodity futures. See, in financial futures, the underlying asset will be financial assets like shares, index, currencies. So all those are the financial assets. But in commodity futures, the underlying asset will be commodities like agricultural commodities, rice, wheat, barley, etc. So those are the, and this can be used for consumption. So financial futures or financial commodities can be used only for the purpose of investment. But commodity futures or commodity underlying asset will be used, can be used for consumption also. So those are the two basic difference between financial futures and commodity future. So we need to understand this difference because the valuation of financial future is different than the valuation of commodity future, because the commodities are perishable goods. So it requires a lot more expense than financial futures, because financial future we need, there is no need to what store the that particular asset. We know there is no much cost involved for the storage of equity shares because it is in digital form. So there is no storage cost, there is not much carrying cost, everything. But for commodities like agricultural products, so there will be some storage cost and there will be some holding cost, everything will be there. So therefore, we need to value the financial futures or forward differently than commodity futures and forward. So financial forward, and so now we will discuss for the valuation of financial forward and future contracts only now. So for the valuation of financial forward and future contracts, we have one model called cost of carry model. So this cost of carry model can be used only for financial forward and future contract. It cannot be used for the commodity futures like agricultural commodities. And for the commodity future and commodity forward, we will there will be some separate formula is there. So we are going to discuss that part also. But right now we'll discuss how to value the financial forward and future contract under cost of carry model. Again, I'll repeat. So there are a number of methods are there for value the forward and future contract, but we are going to follow carry and cost model. So what are the assumptions? What are the assumptions for uh, pricing of financial contract? So there are some basic assumptions that should be fulfilled before valuation of financial contract. So this is the normal assumption for every valuation. That is, the first one is the markets are perfect. Market should be perfect, or there should be a perfect market competition. So you know what are the conditions should be there for perfect market. Perfect market means there should be a sufficient number of buyers and there should be a sufficient number of sellers, and everything should be a transparent, and the quantity should be standardized, and everything should be under regulated. So there should not be any manipulation in the price, in the quantity also. So that's why we call it as a perfect market. So everyone should be treated equally. It may be fine, big institutional investor or retail investor. Everything should be treated equally while quoting the price, while deciding the quantity, lot size, everything. So market should be perfect. There should not be any unfavorable situation, or there should not be what manipulation. So that is the first condition. The market are perfect. And next one, there are no transaction cost. Okay, this is beyond logic actually, because for every transaction there will be cost. In this, in reality, there will be cost like a transaction cost or a tax. There will be some sort of cost will be there, but for the valuation purpose we ignore the transaction cost. Why we ignore transaction cost? Because the transaction cost will be differ from one underlying asset to another underlying asset and at a different situation. So if you include this transaction cost, so there will be a deviation from the market price and theoretical value. So therefore we ignore the transaction cost. And if we consider transaction cost, it also lead arbitrage, chances of arbitrage opportunities. Arbitrage, you know that what do you mean by arbitrage opportunities? So that means buying and selling a underlying asset and making profit without taking any risk and without making any cash outflow. Buying in one market, immediately selling it another market by taking advantage of price difference in the two markets. So that is called arbitrage opportunities or arbitrage trading. So in order to avoid arbitrage trading, as well as to avoid the deviation in the market price and theoretical value, nothing but intrinsic value, so we ignore transaction cost. And next one, all the assets are infinitely divisible. So if underlying asset, the price of underlying asset, the contract, there will be contract. The contract will be, you know that the minimum, the price of minimum contract price is 2 lakh. So how we can divide that 2 lakh? So 2 lakh, if my underlying asset is shares, so 2 lakh perfectly divisible and infinitely. So they can divide at any number of units, which is similar to our Bitcoin, which is similar to our Bitcoin. Total value divided by, so you can, in Bitcoin, we have 8 digits are divisible. So here they mentioned infinitely divisible. Then bid ask spreads do not exist, so that it is assumed that only one price prevails. So what do you mean by bid ask spread? See, if you have Demat account, you may know the term called bid and ask spread or bid and ask price. Bid price, ask price. Bid price means if you are going to purchase, if you are bidding, so you have to purchase that underlying asset for bid price. So there will be a small difference in reality. There will be small difference between bid price and ask price. That is the profit margin for clearing house corporation. So that is the commission for clearing house corporation. For example, I'll explain here. See, take any stock. Consider XYZ. XYZ stock is there, and bid price is considered 140.75. So if you want to purchase XYZ stock, then the current market price is 140.75. If you are going to sell, then 140.95. So only small difference. Okay. So this is the bid price. Bid price 140.75 and ask price is 140.95. The difference between bid and ask price is that is here 0.20. 0.20 is bid ask spread. So that is called spread. This portion is the commission for clearinghouse corporation profitable because they are acting as a third party. They make happen that transaction. So therefore, small portion is to commission for the clearinghouse corporation. So here for the valuation purpose, bid ask price, this one should not exist. So here the assumption bid and ask price should be equal. That means there is no spreads. There is no difference between bid and ask price. And next condition, there are no restriction on short selling. As I said, short selling means you are selling the underlying asset without holding stocks. First you sell, then you repurchase. That is called short selling. You can sell a stock without holding it by paying margin amount. Just pay margin, take short position. Uh, when we take a short position, for example, there is one stock and we know that today it will fall. We definitely know that the market price of that stock will fall today. So what I can do in the morning, I can sell that stock without holding it. I can sell, take short position. We call it a short selling. Sell it, and by evening, when the market fall, I can repurchase it. So see the situation here. Here I purchased at low price and sell at high price. But order is different. First I sold the underlying asset, then I repurchased. So that is, and here they mentioned that there should not be any restriction. Normally, SEBI put restriction on short selling because this happens without holding stock. So if they do not put restriction on short selling, so there is a high chance of crashing the market. Therefore, they normally put restriction on short selling. And here for the valuation purpose, they mention that there are no restriction on short selling. Also, short seller get to use full proceeds of the sales. When they sell the underlying asset, they should get the full amount of that sale. So that is the fifth conditions or fifth assumption for the valuation of future and forward contract. Now we'll understand the model, that is carry pricing model. So what do you mean by carry pricing model? So carry pricing model means which which combines the spot price plus carry cost minus carry return. So under carry pricing model, how we decide forward or future price, the formula will be the same, forward or future price. The price is equal to spot price. Spot price is nothing but current market price of your underlying asset plus carry cost. Carry cost, the storage cost or holding cost. So whatever cost you incurred for the storage and holding of underlying asset. For example, if your underlying asset is gold, so whatever you cost incurred to storage the gold, storage cost, or sometime insurance, you make insurance, or there will be for if your underlying asset having a depreciation, then depreciation amount. And if you borrowed amount from the bank to purchase underlying asset, and amount payable, that means interest payable on such loan can be charged as a carry cost. Amount borrowed from the bank, you borrowed amount to purchase underlying asset, and now we have to repay the principal amount with interest. So the interest can be charged as a carry cost. And also opportunity cost. If you are not borrowing the fund from the bank, if you are using your own fund to purchase an underlying asset, so there will be opportunity cost. Opportunity cost means instead of purchasing this underlying asset, if you invest in any other asset, and the return you may get from that investment is called opportunity cost. So you are sacrificing your return to invest in this particular underlying asset. So whatever you sacrificed, the sacrificed return is called opportunity cost. So these costs consist of carry cost. From that, deduct carry return. By holding underlying asset, if you get any return income, that should be deducted. Like, for example, you are holding XYZ stock for 2 months. So in between 2 months, if XYZ stock declare dividend and you received that dividend, then dividend amount should be deducted. So this is a summary of carry pricing model. So carry pricing model, basically we consider current market price. For that we add carry cost, extra cost incurred by the holder, and minus the income received from holding of that underlying asset. The sum is called the future price or forward price. And in the valuation, we consider continuous compounding interest rate. There should be interest rate to discount the price. So that should be continuous compound. You know what do you mean by continuous compounding? Simple interest rate and continuous compound interest rate. Here we consider continuous compound interest. So this is the example. For example, if you invested 1000 in the first half year, then if the interest rate is 5%, so in the first half year you'll get 50 rupees and the total amount will be 1050. And the next one, the principal amount will be 1050. On 1050, next interest will be charged. So this is called a compounding interest. So here we consider compound interest rate for the valuation of forward and future contract. Okay, now I can directly go for the valuation of pricing of forward contract. How we can find out the forward price. The valuation of forward and future contract is similar, but first we'll understand how we can value the forward contract. See, for the valuation purpose, there will be three types or three cases we we may see that first one is for securities providing no income, means underlying asset providing no income. If underlying asset provided no income, then we have separate formula. If underlying asset or securities providing given amount of income in the form of cash, then we have separate formula. And third case for securities providing known yield in the form of percentage. First, we'll discuss the first case, how to find out the forward price when underlying asset does not provide any income. See here, case 1, securities providing no income. So securities providing no income. If I purchased any stocks and if in the during the maturity period, if it does not provide any income, see some stocks do not declare dividend. So there are some stocks which do not declare dividend, and there are some companies never declare dividend, like Google. So those companies they do not declare dividend. Instead of declaring dividend, they reinvest that fund into again reinvest into company, and they focus on the growth of the company rather than distributing the dividend. So here, so if your underlying asset, you purchased one, consider I purchased underlying asset of Tata Steel, and if Tata Steel does not declare any dividend during that period, at that time I have to follow this method. So what is the formula to find out? Yeah. First, the first case, valuation of this one is the valuation of forward contract, valuation of forward contract. So as I said, there will be three cases. For each case, we have different formula. First case, the underlying asset do not provide any income. If it does not declare any dividend, then we have formula. And second case, it provide the income in the form of cash income, declared dividend, cash income. Some stocks declare dividend. At that time, we have to follow this method. And third case, known yield. So some type of underlying asset does not provide any income in the form of cash, but they provide in the form of yield. Yield means in the percentage. For example, for index feature there will be no dividend. You know that. Index means it consists of more than 30 stocks, like that. For example, in Nifty we have 30 stocks. So comprising of income, it represented in the form of percentage. So we call it as a yield. So if it is known yield, then we have to follow this method. So first we will discuss how to value the forward price when underlying asset does not provide any income. So the first case, so what is the formula? The formula to find out forward price, that is F0, you can write F0 here. Forward price is equal to spot price, current market price, into exponential value, the power RT. So this is the formula to find out forward price. Forward price is equal to spot price of underlying asset into exponential value, the power R. R means the risk-free rate of interest which is compounded continuously. Risk-free rate of interest which is compounded continuously, and is time means the maturity period. If your contract is for 2 months, then 2 by 12. If your contract is 3 months, then 3 by 12. So I can write the denotation of F means, you can write down F means forward price. F means forward price, and SO means spot price, spot price or current market price, spot price or current market price. Then E is the exponential value which is used to find out future price. So there will be exponential value is a constant value. The value of E or exponential is 2.7183. It is a constant. So constant value like pi value, E is equal to 2.7183, and R is the risk-free rate of return. It may be interest, risk-free rate of interest like interest on treasurables or interest on Saints bank account, like that. A risk-free rate of return. Remember, which is compounded continuously, compounded rate of interest. If it is not compounded, then you have to convert into compounded rate of interest. Sometimes they will give simple rate of interest. You have to convert into compound rate of interest. And then T is the maturity period or the term maturity period. The duration of the contract. Remember, T means duration of the contract. If I entered 5 months contract, then the T is equal to 5 divided by 12. So this is the formula when underlying asset does not provide any income. Understood? So now we'll discuss one problem, simple example. Yeah. See here, one example is there. Consider a forward contract on a non-dividend paying shares, which is available at rupees 70 to mature in 3 months time. If the risk-free rate of interest be 8% per annum, compounded continuously, the contract, what is the forward price? So we need to find out what is the forward price. So in this example, if you read this one again, consider forward contract of non-dividend paying shares. So it does not declare any dividend. So non-dividend paying shares, when they mention non-dividend paying shares, we should understand. So this is the first case where underlying asset does not provide any income and which is available at rupees 70. So 70 is nothing but is the current market price or spot price. So spot price, that is SO, I'll write here the given information. S4, the spot price is 70 and it will be mature in 3 months time. The duration of the contract is 3 months. So the term of the contract is 3 by 12. The term of the contract is 3 by 12. And the risk-free rate of interest, which is compounded per annum, is 8%. So 8%, 8 by 100, or you can write 0.08. So R is equal to 8%. So find out the value of the forward price. Find out the value of forward price. So I can see here. So these are the given information. Spot price 70, current market price of underlying asset is 70, and the term of the contract is 3 by 12, and risk-free rate of interest is 0.08. So, and this case is where underlying asset does not provide any income. So I can use this formula. See this formula. Forward price is equal to spot price into exponential value, the power R into T. Just insert the values into the formula. So I'm writing here. So F is equal to spot price how much? 70. So 70 into exponential value. You can write exponential value. The constant value is 2.7183. So 2.7183. So if you feel confused, then write here multiplication sign. 70 into 2.7183. The power R into T. R how much? R 0.08. 8% means 0.08 into T. T 3 by 12. Either you can directly write 3 by 12 or simplify it 3 by 12. So that is 0.25. So 0.25. Correct? So now 70 into 2.7183 power 0.08 into 0.25. Okay, now simplify. So 70 into 2.7183, multiply this 0.08 into 0.25. So the value is 0.02. 0.0. So e the power 0.02. Now again simplify. 70 into 2.7183 power 0.02. How we can find out the value of such thing? See, already I shared the exponential table in Google Classroom. Check this one. Exponential values. See, natural logs. This one, natural logs. So natural log e the power x and e the power minus x values. So both the values are there. Here x is given, first column x, then natural log x, e the power x and e the power minus x. And we need this one, e the power positive x, correct? e the power positive x. And what is the value of x? See the value of x 2.7183 here in this problem, 0.02. So what is the value of 0.02? So here 0.02, 0.02, and e the power x. How much? E the power x 1.02020. X value 0.02 and e the power x is equal to 1.02020. So I'll write here 1.02020. Yeah. So 70 into 1.02020. So we can check out value of this by using exponential value table, e the power x. This is the value of x. This one is e, exponential, e the power x. So when x is 0.02, the value will be 1.02020. So this is the one way you can find out e the power x. The other way how we can find out is by using log and antilog. So this is the simplest way directly you can find out. So if you do not have what exponential values, so you can use log and antilog. That is antilog of antilog of 0.02 into log of 2.7183. You can use this also to find out this value, that is 1.02020. First you have to find out log of 2.7183, then multiply it to 0.02, finally find out antilog, so that you get same answer 1.02020, similar. But if you have exponential table, then directly find out the values and multiply it to the spot price. So now 70 into 1.02020. So value is 414. 71.414 is the forward price of that underlying asset. 71.44. 414 is the forward price. Consider now the market price of that, means market of forward price, market quoted forward price. This is the intrinsic value. We calculated intrinsic value of forward price. If the market quoted forward price is 71, okay. If the consider if the market quoted, I'll write here only. If the market quoted price is 71, market quoted, and intrinsic value is 71, so that means in the market it is undervalued. Actual value is 71.414, but in the market it is quoted only 71. So what decision I can take, whether I have to take long position or short position? See, this is the underlying, this will be the future price. So this is the market quoted price. So it is better take long position. Long position, purchase at 71, purchase at 71, and then sell at 71.414. So you can make 4.414 profit. And in the other case, if the market quoted forward price is 72, then take short position, means sell at 72 and repurchase at 71.414. So this is the way how we can find out intrinsic value of forward price when underlying asset does not provide any income, and how we can take investment decision. I hope you understood. Yes. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask. Yeah, any doubt, students? Are you there? Any doubt?
Sir. No, sir.
No, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.